I'm Dr. Aaron Harris, and this video is all about the stages of financial freedom. And so, this is the live version of looking at the stages of financial freedom. And so, I was online, and I'm always online and learning about finances and resources. And I saw people doing these videos on the 7 stages of financial freedom. And so I said, okay, I want to go and do something similar, but I want to do it from a biblical perspective. Now, when people talk about financial freedom, this is a big word, right? Financial freedom. So it's very vague. And so when people say, can you talk about financial freedom? I say financial freedom means different things to different people. And so when you want to know about financial freedom, the first question we have to address is, what is your definition of financial freedom? Because when some people think about financial freedom, they think about the ability to pay their bills, the ability to buy groceries, the ability to have a normal life without stressing and worrying about what they're going to eat and how they're going to eat. But for others, financial freedom could mean something completely different. Some people think that financial freedom is the ability to leave your job and quit your job and not have to work anymore. And people feel like I'm financially free when I do not have to work. And for some people, they're financially free when they can just go out and travel the world. They say, when I could go where I want to go and do whatever I want to do, then this is financial freedom for me. For some people, they like living out of their vans and they make YouTube videos about it. And for them, financial freedom is just to go and be able to travel the world and go wherever they want to go, or travel the country. I guess you're not traveling the world in a van. So they want to travel the country and go to where they want to go, but they have the freedom to do what it is that they want to do. For me personally, financial freedom would look like the ability to do what I want to do without money being a concern. That's my definition for financial freedom, is the ability to do what I want to do without money being a concern. I remember when I was living in Texas, and at one point I wanted to eat healthier and I wanted to eat better. I ate a lot of McDonald's and Burger King, a lot of fast food that really wasn't good for you, a lot of processed food. But what I realized was that it was a lot more expensive to eat healthy than it was to go get something off of a dollar menu somewhere. And so I remember praying a prayer to God. And in my prayer, it was on the level of basically saying, God, I do not want to be constrained by finances when it comes to me deciding what to eat. Now, that didn't mean I was going to go to a five-star restaurant, or I wanted to go to a Michelin star restaurant, or I wanted to go spend $1,000. It meant that when I went to the grocery store, I wanted to be able to put some chicken into my grocery basket without having to think, can I afford this chicken? Or I wanted to be able to make meals without having to consider, can I afford this meal? And so when I look at, so God answered that prayer, and for the past 10 years or so, when I go grocery shopping, I do not have to worry about, can I afford this food? When I go out to eat, I don't have to worry about, can I afford this, right? Within reason. And so looking at it similarly, then my definition of financial freedom is to apply that principle to different areas of my life when it comes to a home, or when it comes to a car, when it comes to vacation, or when it comes to different things I want to do with my family, not looking at money and resources as the reason why we cannot do it. Now, also, what I want to put with that is some parameters, because I'm not going out and saying, God, I just want a huge mansion, or I just want the newest Bentley, or I want the newest sports car. No, I'm very content with life, but with being very content with life, there are some things that I say, hey, it would be really nice if I could do these things without worrying about, can we afford it and can we pay for it? And for the most part, we're able to do that as a family, but we're not all the way there yet. And so I'm still seeking and searching and striving for my financial freedom. And you may be in the same particular situation where there are things that you want to do, but you cannot do them because of financial constraints. And so, in this video, we're looking at financial freedom, what financial freedom is, and specifically, we're looking at the 7 levels or the 7 stages of financial freedom, so you can see where you are on the stage of financial freedom. And then you can see not only where you are, but you can look at where you want to be in the future. You can look at where you're going. And so I'm excited to see what stage I'm in, for you to see what stage you're in, and then see what stage you want to get to, because everyone may not want to get to the biggest stage and stage 7, which is huge amount of money. Some people may be okay with stage 4, or they may like stage 5 and say, oh, I'm going to chill right here and everything is going to be okay. But before we dive into looking at the 7 stages of financial freedom, the first thing we have to look at is, what is financial bondage, right? Before you can talk about freedom, you have to know what you're being set free from. And so, from my perspective, financial bondage is not having to the resources to meet your basic needs. Some people do not have the resources to buy the food that they need, and so they resort to having to beg or to borrow or to steal in order to get the things that they need. Some people do not have any housing accommodations, meaning that they are homeless, meaning that they don't have, their basic needs covered and set. Some people do not have the resources to just live a normal daily life. I also think about people who have a lot of resources, but they've spent a lot more than they've actually made. So they're burdened by debt. And I'm not talking about a home loan or a student loan that is fairly manageable depending on your income and your situation. I'm talking about you're drowning in credit card debt. I'm talking about you're drowning in your car note that you have and trying to meet that each and every month. And so there is a space where people feel like they're in bondage. Some people feel like they go to work so that they can pay bills. What are you going to work for? I'm going to work to make enough money to barely scrape by, to barely make it. And I have to rob Peter to pay Paul in order to make ends meet. And so for me, that is financial bondage, not having the resources that you need to meet the basic necessities of life. So now that we have a basic understanding of financial bondage, many people can attest to say, I have been there, I grew up there, I know what it's like to be in that situation. I have family that are in financial bondage, I have friends there, and I do not want to be in that situation. So once we understand financial bondage, the first level of financial freedom is what I call stewardship. The first level of financial freedom is stewardship. And stewardship is really the ability to manage resources. And so when I think about stewardship, I think about people coming to the understanding that they need financial literacy, that they need financial knowledge, that they need to change something or do something to put themselves in a good financial situation. And so I believe that the person, even if you're trapped in debt, even if you're don't barely have enough to get by, even if you're struggling, I believe that at least having the awareness that I need to change something, I need to do something better, I need to search out, seek out, find out something that will help me to be able to get in a better situation in life. I believe that that is the first level of financial freedom is unlocking your mind, because some people are in financial bondage because of the mindset and the mentality that they have. And no matter how much money you give them, they could win the lottery, they could get multi-million dollar contract. No matter how much money they're giving, they're going to blow it, and they're going to waste it, and they're going to mismanage it. Why? Because they are not financially free in their mind. And so the first stage of financial freedom is stewardship. And so in stewardship, I believe that what really helps us out is understanding that all of our resources, they come from God, that everything on earth God created. Therefore anything that we have is a result of what God created, right? And even if you think about your ability for your legs to work and your hands to work and your mind to work and your mouth to work, and for you to be able to hear and you be able to see, what that is a testament of is God created us. So then whatever our hands do and our feet rush to and our mind think of, God ultimately gets credit for that. And so when we're talking about resources and, and finances and money, we're talking about God pouring it into us and not just having a mentality of, oh, I went out and I got this on my own through hard work. And if you work hard, no, understand that God set some things up, protected you from some things, put you in the right place at the right time for you to be able to do what it is that you did. And so when you're looking at stewardship, it's all about unlocking the mind, being free mentally from a financial perspective. And so once people get to that point, once you get to the point where you're financially free in your mind, then the money will come, the resources will come. The challenge is unlocking the shackles of your mind. And I understand systemic racism, and there's people and places and things in places that makes it harder for certain groups to get ahead than other groups. But I also believe that we could still break through those barriers. We have an opportunity to break through. And so when you look at the second stage of financial freedom, the second stage is provision. Now, when I think about provision, I think about God providing for you and God meeting your needs. Now, whoever is alive on this earth, they have certain provision that came from God. So everybody taps into this provision, whether you're rich or you're poor. We all have, this provision going on in our life. but I really think about provision for the people that are living day to day, that are living dollar to dollar, that are living check to check. And so when I think about God's provision, I think about the times that I was living paycheck to paycheck. I think about the times that I was struggling to make ends meet or struggling to make it financially. And the only thing that got me through was a prayer. I remember I needed some money for rent, I needed some money for my car, I needed some money for me to travel to where I needed to go. And I didn't know how I was gonna get it. I didn't have a plan. I didn't see, the light at the end of the tunnel or what was gonna come through. But God came out and God provided for me. In the same way, I believe that some people are in this second stage of financial freedom, which is provision. Now, some people say that don't sound like financial freedom, but realizing that God is your provider, trusting in Him, relying on Him, knowing that He feeds the birds of the air, and just like He feeds them, He's going to feed his children, and knowing that he clothed the lilies of the valley, so you know that he will clothe you as well. When you have that mentality, then there is certain freedom in that when you aren't relying necessarily on other people to provide for you. You aren't robbing Peter to pay Paul. You aren't doing all of these things, but you're able to meet your basic needs. You're able to live paycheck to paycheck. Then that is a form of freedom that some people do not have access to financially. So I call that level provision. And a lot of people say that level don't sound too fun. I'm in that level. Most people, 60% of Americans, live paycheck to paycheck, where they don't have a substantial savings. And so there's a lot of people in that stage, but we want to move past that stage and look at the next stage, which I call contentment. Now, contentment is when you have a little bit of breathing room. So, when I think about contentment, I think about people not living paycheck to paycheck. I think that you have a little bit of money stashed away. You have a little bit of money in your bank account, so you're less stressed or worried about a car repair or a home repair or a quick emergency that you have to take care of, because you have a decent amount of money saved. And in this stage, it's important for you to be content in the situation that you're in, to be content in the circumstance that you're in. The Bible talks about how godliness with contentment is great gain. And so the reason you need to be content in that situation is because if you're not content, you'll take yourself down a level to provision, where people, once they get a little bit of money, what they want to do, they get the most expensive car that they can afford. They have lifestyle inflation. They get the most expensive home that they can afford, and they start buying expensive things, and it keeps them in what's called a middle class trap, where they're just getting enough money to continue to pay their bills, but they're not doing a lot to really invest in their future. And so I call that a place of contentment, because you are happy with where you are, you're content with where you are, but you don't want to be complacent, meaning that you still want to move forward, you still want to grow. And some people have the misconception that contentment and complacency are like best friends, but they are different from one another. You can be grateful and thankful for what you have without getting stuck with where you are. So the next level that people can get to above that, so contentment is really based off of you're in a stage where you're able to save money and you're good at saving. And so that means you're in a stage of contentment if that's where your level of financial prudency, if that's where it stops. This next stage, I call it wisdom. I call it the stage of wisdom. The stage of wisdom is when you start to realize how the world works and how money work, and you realize that you should start investing some of your resources. You should start investing some of your finances. You should invest your money. And so people, when they start investing, what they're doing is they're being wise. And when I think about investing money, I think about going and planting seeds. When someone plants a seed, it's not going to grow today, it's not going to grow tomorrow, but you plant it and you water it and you water it and you water it, and you wait for it to grow over time. Then eventually, when that seed grows, you are able to see the harvest. You are able to see what you planted. And so wisdom is being able to say, hey, I'm not going to get the newest, nicest car or the most expensive car I can afford right now because I still need some money to be able to plan. Wisdom is to go out and say, I'm not going to buy the biggest home or the most expensive home we get approved for because I still need some resources to be able to go out and to plant. When I think about wisdom, I think about the parable of the talents, how there was one person who had just a few talents, and they buried it in the ground. Another person had, 5 talents. And what they did was they took those talents and made 5 more talents. Another person had 10 talents and they turned those 10 talents into 20 talents. And the people who invested their resources, the people who grew their resources, they were celebrated. But the person who didn't invest their resource, but they just kept what they had, they were not celebrated. And so, even biblical principles show us, and wisdom tells us that we can grow our money exponentially if we have a good and wise investment. You can invest in yourself through education or getting skills or just learning new things. You can invest in a business and you can start a business. You can invest in stocks and mutual funds. You can invest in property. But when you get to the stage of investing, that's when you're looking at how you can use your resources that you have to be able to gain more resources. And so that's a great level to get to when you're going and investing. And so that is wisdom. After wisdom, then we have harvest. Harvest is now that you've had the wisdom to sow. I think about you reaping. When I think about harvest, I think about you reap what you sow. And I think about the Bible talks about, hey, if you sow a little bit, then you reap a little bit. Meaning, if you just throw a little bit seed down, when it comes harvest time, you just gonna get a little bit. But if you generously spread your seed come harvest time, you will have a generous harvest, right? And so with harvest, I think about you've been spending seasons or time planting. I think about the education that you have, the skills that you have. You've been working hard at your job. You've been working hard to build your business, and you have those initial stages where it's hard and it's rough and you aren't making much money and it may not be looking good. But then you get a season of harvest where your hard work has paid off, where you're able to see the fruit of your labor. And this is a great stage to be in, this stage of harvest, because you feel like, oh, I've worked so hard for this. And now I actually see decisions I made years ago, businesses I started years ago, education that I got years ago, jobs that I started years ago, things that happened years ago. Now I'm just now seeing that start to happen. I'm starting to see the benefits of that. I'm getting the fruits of that. I have the income coming in from that. And so that is a season of harvest. And I'm praying that all of you that are watching this are at least able to get to a season of harvest where you started something, you've planted something, it's grown, and it's helping you make a good living. You have resources to be able to give generously, take care of all of your needs, help out your family, and just do all the things that you need to do. So I think it's great if everyone is able to get to that stage. And then what the next stage is, everyone does not necessarily have to get to. Some people say, I want to stop financial freedom once I get to the place of harvest. I've worked hard for something, I'm getting the fruit of what I've worked hard for. And now I am happy, now I am excited, now I am content with what I have, and I don't want to go any further. But the next stage that someone can get to after harvest is overflow. Overflow is when you have different streams of income. Overflow is different streams of income. That's when they talk about your money making money for you. That means that you've made investments, whether it's in housing, whether it's in the stock market, whether it's mutual funds or index funds, or it's a business that you started, whatever it is, now you have residual income coming in. You have money flowing in without you even doing the work. When I think about harvest, I think about you've planted something, you've worked for something, you've done something, and now it's growing. But when I think about the stage of overflow, I think about something continually pouring in resources and finances, just like a stream of water, just continuing to flow with you. And so when you're financially in a season of overflow, you're in a season where the money is just coming in, or the resources are just coming in. And then I like this stage because just as you're receiving it, you're able to abundantly give generously to others, whether it's your church, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family members, whether it's nonprofit organizations. You're able to take care of all of your needs. You're able to do the things that you want. You don't have to be stressed out about your job or work because you know that you have those streams of income coming in. And then the last level that people can get to is a level of abundance. When I think about abundance, I think about the scripture that talks about how God pour into you good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Overflow or abundance is like more than you can spend. When God blesses you abundantly, it's like, this is so much that this is way more than what I need. And you really have to look at, what am I going to do with these resources? How can I be generous? And how can I make an impact on this world? And how can I go and give to others? And so, with abundance, many people do not reach the stage of abundance. Some people don't even want the stage of abundance. They feel like that's too much. But I think about many billionaires, how they have like a given pledge and things like that, where you've made so much money that now you're just like, I can't spend all this. I have to give some of it away. And for the believer, it doesn't mean that we've bought, private planes and yachts and mansions. Sometimes it just means that, we have all that we need. That can be one home and one car, and you have one home and one car, but you have more resources and income than you'll ever need or ever spend. So you look at how you can go and bless others. And so I pray and I hope that you are blessed with an abundant amount of resources so you can give back generously. So, looking over the 7 stages that we've spoken about financial freedom, we said the first phase was stewardship. Stewardship, just realizing that you need more knowledge about resources and realizing that you want to be financially free. The second stage of financial freedom from a biblical perspective is provision, where you are day to day just relying on, depending on, praying for God to get you through the day. You may be living paycheck to paycheck, but God, you're praying, relying on Him, and He is getting you through. The third stage is contentment. Contentment means you've gone beyond paycheck to paycheck. You've learned how to save a little bit of money. And so you have your emergency fund. So you're not as stressed, you're not as worried, you're not as reliant or dependent upon the next paycheck that comes in because you already have a little goose egg. Then, next after contentment, it is wisdom. Wisdom is when you're saying, I'm at the stage where I'm investing and I'm planting for my future. I'm investing in myself, or I'm investing in my education. I'm investing in starting a business. I'm investing in mutual funds or stocks or index funds. I'm investing in real estate. I am investing in something today. I am doing something today that I expect a payoff with tomorrow. And so that's when you are, that's the stage of wisdom, when you are investing for your future. The next stage, the fifth stage, is harvest. And with that stage of harvest, what you're saying is, now I am seeing the fruit of my labor. Now I am benefiting from the steps that I've taken, or the actions that I've taken, or the things that I have done. And that's a great space to be able to be in, to be able to work hard, make good decisions, make wise investments, and then turn around and see the fruit from those investments. Next, it is overflow. Overflow means you invested. Now your money is making money. You have multiple streams of income coming in, or even if it's one stream coming in, but that stream is coming in so good that you are set. You don't have to work if you do not want to. You have streams coming in and you are good. And then last is abundance, where you have over and above all that you need. And so with those, I want you to think about, and you could type it in the comments. If you type it in the comments, I'll see whether it's live, or if you watch this after it's live, I'll still come back to the comment section and I'll interact with you. But looking at it, what stage are you at? Currently, right now, I'm in a stage of contentment and the stage of wisdom. And so, what stage are you at? I'm at the stage of wisdom. And what stage do you want to get to? For me, I love to get to the stage of overflow, where resources are pouring in and I'm able to go and be generous to others. So thank you for watching this live, watching this video. If you learned something from this video, then watch the other videos on the channel, because it'll teach you and talk to you about finances and resources, how to save, how to invest, how to generate more income. And so you can actually put into practice what's learned in this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.